since you are in Central Florida, you
Yeah,
tell me, where do I need to eat in Central Florida?
that is a great question. Unfortunately,
No choices, are there?
I, I've been in the Disney bubble for too long.
There's
Oh my
nothing
gosh.
wrong with Disney. Where at Disney do we need to go? Hey there, foodie fans. Welcome to another Travel Tuesday. If you hear some cocktail shaking in the background, that's just Carla making my cocktail for me. So, welcome this evening to our best friend of the show's best friend, Zoe from Scarlet Apothecary. She has been a longtime friend of Patrick's, and they have some interesting things going on with this new Scarlet Apothecary, and we want to find out a little bit more about that. So here is Zoe.
Hi.
Welcome to the
It's
show, Zoe.
Thank you. It's so great to be here.
Fantastic. Hey, so tell us a little bit about Scarlet Apothecary.
Sure. So, Scarlet Apothecary is um it's a lot more about teas and like spiritual health and holistic healing. I do tarot readings, and I'm an energy reader. So I decided I've always loved um, finding new kind of like fun ways to do potions and make things more interesting and trendy. So, what better way to do that with the trending essential oils right now and cocktails? So, mix the two together, and you've got a cute little potion for your cocktail.
So essential oils in a cocktail.
Yeah. So same thing. It's like using the great ingredients you would find in old fashioned cocktails that have been around for years. You have your rosemary, you have anything like, the rinds that you would use or anything you would muddle, but it's at a like purest form in an essential oil instead. Use the whole thing. You can pour as little as much as you want. Have you seen like the Mio kind of thing you add to your water, like
Definitely.
flavoring? Yeah,
Yes.
it's kind of like that. So it's just little enhancers to kind of make your cocktail more fun.
So how did you create these recipes? Did you sit down one night with some friends
Yep.
and just try everything?
The first night was rough because it was basically just essential oils and simple syrups. And we had to get that out of the way first before we added it to cocktails. So the fun part didn't come until we got like the medicine-y part out of the way.
Yeah, we run into that quite frequently. I
Yeah.
can't tell you how many times we've made something and gone, yeah, that's just a little too much like cough syrup.
Yeah, that's for sure. And like, essential oils are so potent. So you really have to get the mixture right. Otherwise, it's strong.
Well, I'm sure.
But alcohol really helps cover that up. So
So tonight I am drinking a version of a Boston Sour. Are you
okay,
familiar with a Boston Sour?
not a Boston sour.
So really, it's a whiskey sour, but you add egg white to give it a nice little
Ah,
frothy. So that's a Boston Sour. However, even with ours, it's twisted because we're using a very good quality store pick from a local liquor store, but it's a Woodford Reserve Double Oak store pick. So very good quality bourbon, and we mixed it with a local organic food store. It's organic hibiscus pomegranate lemonade. So
ooh,
instead
I
of
love
just using
hibiscus.
lemon juice, we went with something a little bit different. And I'm telling you, this is actually really good. Great job, Carla.
Sounds delicious.
It really is. So, how about yourself? What are you drinking this evening?
I'm doing a little rosé tonight. I haven't
Okay.
been to the liquor store in a little bit. But over quarantine, I got a great wine thing that delivers wine, 6 bottles like every other month. So try a little of this, try a little of that. It's not always the best stuff, but you kind of get to go in and like tell them what you like and kind of rate everything and kind of go in and taste the note or put in the notes and everything. But this is what I'm drinking tonight. But it's kind of reminiscent of like the church wine you get
Oh no.
with communion. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
not my favorite, but I brought some backup wine, so we're good.
That's always a good idea.
Yeah.
So tell us about how we got to this point. I mean, your interest in mixing and playing around with these. I heard potions, but you know, obviously some bartending maybe, or you know, how did you end up getting to this point?
No, actually, no bartending experience.
No.
No. I need some now though.
Yeah.
But actually, I've been more focused on teas. So,
We like teas too.
teas, that's my store. It's all teas, and
Yeah.
they're specifically focused helping your body or a different thing, like your stomach or just balancing of health in general. Or we've got one for, let's see, let me grab something. This one is Patrick's favorite. It's called World Leaf Refresher, and that has hibiscus in it, like you're drinking. Just more of a refreshing, boost your energy kind of drink because it's got a lot of caffeine in it. So I kind of took that my teas and I said, I drink all the time. We're making fun cocktails and trying new things. So what can I do with my holistic side and my essential oils to add to those? And came up with our Tipsy Goddess oil spills.
Oh, I love that name, Tipsy Goddess Oil Spills.
Yep.
Okay. Carla goes by the moniker Travel Goddess.
Of course she does.
Yeah. But so the teas, this is interesting too, because Carla has used teas to make her cheesecakes.
Okay.
So one of them was a lavender citrus cheesecake, and I think in the past we've used some teas for cocktails, but it's been a long time. So yeah, I like that idea though.
It's there's so many things you can do with teas. Obviously, hot tea is nice, but only for like half the year. So, especially if you live in
And we're in
Florida.
Florida. Yeah.
Right, exactly. So, what can you do with it when you're not, sitting at home cozy by the fire? Make cakes. You can make cheesecakes like Carla. You can turn them into cocktails. So, it's just really about being fun with it and playing around and finding like a trendy way to add a little bit of those health benefits into your cocktail and your teas too. So,
you know, my first experience with something other than Nestea was I was in San Diego. I was still in the Navy, and I was training to be a substance abuse counselor. And I came down with a really bad cold. And in San Diego, there's tea shops everywhere.
Yeah.
And there was one nearby, and I was going there to study anyway. And I told the girl, I was like, I got the sniffles. I'm just don't feel great. And she said, you know what? I got something for you. And she started taking from here and here and here and putting together this bag. And I asked her about it. I was like, all right, so this is amazing. It feels so good on my throat. It just it was really good. I said, if I'm not here, what do I tell somebody? And she said, the closest thing to it is a chai. And since then, if I don't feel well, if I feel funky, I grab a chai all the time. Now, not a latte, but a chai.
Right. Real chai with real spices.
Milk's not good when you're not feeling well.
No, not at all.
Yeah. So
that's exactly what an apothecary does. I mean, we haven't seen it for a long time, like a real true apothecary. But that's the goal, trying to bring that back and find that holistic way of making you feel better for the day. Of course, it doesn't cure everything, but really makes you feel better, gets you through your day, gets you through your meeting, gets you through that last party you're going to. So teas can
Recover,
really help.
recover from that party.
Oh yeah, I've got a good for that.
Oh, yeah, what's the secret for that one?
So obviously, a lot of different herbal teas do different things. When you're not feeling great, you want to stay away from that caffeine. But I have temperance tea. If you can see it, it's really pretty. There's lots of pretty stuff in there. But it has lots of white tea and hibiscus root and orange peel, and then we have some yarrow root in there as well that has a lot of health benefits for balancing the immune system, and it's great for your digestive system. So it kind of helps to balance that like queasy feeling you're getting, and drinking that tea will help refresh you and hydrate you. So it's kind of a good place to start.
How do you source your ingredients?
So everything I get as of now is from a company called San Francisco Herb Company, and they're just a big tea company. They don't do individual teas, but they sell all the ingredients for it. So I buy from them, and then I mix my own teas by hand. So each batch you get is handmade, ready to go to you. In the future, I hope, once I get this out a little bit more, I want to be able to make them customable, so that I pick a tea and say, hey, I'm having this health issue. Can you add, something to help with that? So that I can really know my clients and get to know their needs and understand like what makes them feel better, or leave out an ingredient for them.
Nice. So your goal is to become a true apothecary.
Yes. The goal is to find a storefront and have people come in and smell everything, open jars, try those cocktail mixes before they go home to enjoy them. It really helps when you walk into a store and you can see a jar and you can smell it and you can taste it. And sometimes even that smell wakes you up and makes you want to taste more.
So where is this store? What's the goal? Where would you like to end up?
So I am currently moving back to Ohio. And I grew up in a very small town called Chagrin Falls. It's gorgeous. And right next to it is Gates Mills, which is kind of where our house was. So you say Chagrin Falls because people know that a little bit better. But it's the town, honestly, it looks like Sleepy Hollow. It's perfect. It's got that the bridges over the river, there's little white picket fences in the fall time. The leaves are changing. It's honestly gorgeous. So a small town, preferably around that area, where I have a lot of old friends and people that I know personally to bring in more of their family and friends, because what I do is very personal, not a touristy thing. It's a very personal, get to know everyone and take care of each other kind of thing. So a small town that is going to, have people walk in, but people that I know and that I want to see again and again.
I love the name Chagrin Falls. Isn't
that
awesome.
Cute?
Yeah. Now I want to go there.
They have the popcorn shop. It's right over top of the actual falls, like the waterfall that's put in Chagrin Falls, and they've had it there for like 100 years almost, I think. And they make their own ice cream and their own popcorn. It's so cute. But if you haven't been to Ohio, honestly, it's gorgeous in the fall. I don't really recommend it in the winter.
I don't recommend anywhere north of where I am in the winter. So, and I'm in Central Florida. So yeah. I'm staying here.
But in the fall, it's beautiful. You've got like a month to go.
I'm very interested. I love the fall. I was in Southern Illinois for a while and just absolutely gorgeous. But it's so hard because it's like 1 week, it's gorgeous, and then it's gone and it's dismal and you don't want to be there. So
yeah. And then as soon as you leave, it goes back.
Okay, so let's say I hopped on a plane tomorrow and headed up to Chagrin Falls.
Mm-hmm.
Where do I need to go eat?
I haven't been there in a while. So
Oh,
I actually don't. Yeah, it's been about like 4 years.
but you're nearby. So let's talk about where you actually are then.
So I'm currently in Florida. So I'm in the Orlando area. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I grew up in Ohio. I grew up in Chagrin Falls. Chagrin Falls is one of those places that changes a lot. It's like little mom and pop places. So they have little pop-up things all the time. So it's always something new, which is interesting, I think, because you can always go back to the same places, but Chagrin is great to just walk into town and try something new.
Yeah.
Whereas Orlando, I think it's kind of the same thing. You have your favorite places. You have that go-to place that is never going to change.
Since you are in Central Florida, you
Yeah,
tell me, where do I need to eat in Central Florida?
that is a great question. Unfortunately,
No choices, are there?
I, I've been in the Disney bubble for too long.
There's
Oh my
nothing
gosh.
wrong with Disney. Where at Disney do we need to go?
Okay, so my favorite place, if you want to spend a little extra, is Citricos at the Grand Floridian. Um,
What?
Great seafood.
What is it called?
Citricos?
I, somehow
Never heard?
I thought I knew Disney. I've never even heard
Ah,
of this.
see, you needed a Disney bubble person to come on.
Yes.
Citricos
Citrus
is amazing. I've
Coast?
been going there. Citricos, it's one
Citricoast.
word. Mhm.
Okay.
And they have great seafood. It's like you're just when you think of high end, really good steak and seafood, that's the place to be. Um, it's definitely like smaller portions. It's a little bit pricier, but I mean, the service is fantastic. Obviously, it's Disney. Food has always been amazing, and they have a lot of seasonal items too. Especially with fish, they try to get in fresh things. So that menu's always changing, so there's always a little something different for you. I go almost every year for my birthday, so that's kind of our way of celebrating.
Nice. So, if you were just going out with the girls to grab a cocktail, where would you go?
I would, let's see. The Hangar at Disney Springs, one of
I
our
was hearing about it.
favorite.
Yeah.
So good. I mean, the small plate is fantastic. So you always know that you'll be able to sit there and eat for a while, so that you don't feel like you're rushed out. You can keep having a few cocktails and nibble. So you're not just eating like chips and salsa, which I kind of hate. You want to be able to have something to munch on that's substantial. But I don't think I've ever ordered a cocktail there that I didn't like.
Completely agree. They've got one. Oh, I can't think of the name of it. It's there's one. It's like the witch's brew or something. It's some kind of a. It's good, but I think it's got like a smoky tequila in it. It's just really good. Have you ever had the shishito peppers there?
I don't think so.
Oh,
I
those are.
don't think I've ever seen that on the menu.
I think they removed them, but they had them for
Okay.
a long time. It was charged shishito peppers. Oh, they were so good.
They had one of my favorites was the popcorn chicken. And that sounds funny, but it literally they make popcorn and they put
We've had
the
that.
chicken on it.
There's some
It's so
popcorn
fun.
with it. Yes.
Together it actually tastes really good, but it has that nice tangy sauce on top. So good.
I remember I was in Paris and we took a river cruise and they put popcorn on my steak. And
Oh.
I thought this is so weird, but it was so good.
Was it just plain popcorn? Was they
Just plain
caramelize it or
popcorn.
anything?
No,
Just
just plain
popcorn.
popcorn. And it added a different texture
Yeah.
and it was simple. It didn't change the flavor drastically, but it was a different texture. It was interesting.
Changes the experience too, which is big. Because I feel like you can change up flavors all the time, but if you can change the experience of how you eat something, I think that's so much more interesting.
I completely agree. So Have you done one of the things I like to tell people is to hop on one of the boats and go over to like Port Orleans or someplace like that. Have you done any of those?
Um, Port Orleans, I've been to. Other than Disney, I've actually traveled most of Europe too. So a lot of my excursions has been there. But with Disney, I kind of stayed towards like the Polynesian and the
Okay.
Grand Floridian. I don't know why. It just kind of felt like more homey to me. That's just kind of my go-to. Um, but then we also love Saratoga Springs because have
Yes.
you been?
Oh
It's
yeah.
like not too in your face
Yep.
Disney, so it's just relaxing and beautiful and the
Yeah.
yeah, and the
I know
water's
there is Old Key West, but Saratoga Springs to me reminds me of that more southern charm kind of.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it's very like homey, very comfortable. You can just relax and sit on the water.
Yes, definitely. But I really like the Port Orleans restaurants. Those are good, and it's just a great date night kind of thing. You
Hmm.
go to Disney Springs and then hop on the boat and head over to Port Orleans. It's very
Yeah.
romantic, especially if you can manage to catch one of the horse-drawn carriages over there.
Hmm. The riverside is really pretty. I mean, I stayed there once, and I honestly was surprised. I didn't expect it to be so beautiful. It really kind of transports you out of Florida
It,
for a little bit.
yes, I remember one of the actually I think the first time I was ever at Disney as an adult, I stayed in Port Orleans, and it really did feel like it. Now Disney feels a lot smaller to me because
Hmm.
I've been pretty much everywhere. But at that time, I did feel like I was just transported somewhere else, and it was just so massive, and
Yeah.
it was awesome. I highly recommend anyone who's listening, if you haven't been to Disney, you got to stay on property.
Yeah. There's so many fun places to see. I mean, you could spend the whole day just wandering around visiting all the different resorts. You don't even have to go to the parks, and there's so much to do, so much to see. Just wander into somewhere, find a fun cocktail, find something to nibble on, and you still not even scratch the surface of what they have to offer.
Absolutely. Even the dinner shows that are like out at the campground and everything.
Oh my
Just
gosh. That's my favorite show.
the Foodie
Hoopty
review.
doo.
Yeah, that's my favorite too. I, I love the Polynesian, the luau, but it's to me the Hoopty Doo review is so much better.
Yeah, and that sangria is surprisingly good.
Yeah. So, um, what I had to get Tiny Dog Sam again.
That's
He's trying to steal the show. So,
okay.
what kind of destinations have you been? You said you've done a little bit of traveling.
Yeah, so I actually grew up traveling a lot. After college, I kind of didn't get to as much just because I was in school and then I was working nonstop. But um, almost 2 times a year, we were traveling all over Europe. We went to Bermuda a lot. It was one of our vacation places. I think my parents had a timeshare there. So Bermuda was one of those go to places for us. Um, and lots of islands, lots of cruises. One of my favorite places still to go is Hawaii. No matter how many times I go, I cannot stop going back. We're
That
actually going
explains the
again in,
Polynesian.
I guess, yeah. But until you've been to Hawaii, I mean, it's the most amazing thing you can feel. Just standing, like literally anywhere in Hawaii, just the energy is so different than what you would feel anywhere else. They have such a rich history and understanding of their earth and of the things they grow and their culture, and it's so different than you would feel anywhere else. So it's just a great way to get grounded and kind of rethink your life too.
Nice. So, out of all of your travels, is there one restaurant that stands out to you?
Um, Actually, yes. So I had Oh my goodness, I wrote it down because I always forget the name, even though it's super simple. So I forget it. It's called MW in Hawaii, and it was kind of like one of those hole in the walls, but not hole in the walls. It's very known in Hawaii, and they're in Honolulu. Um, it's well known there, but it's very hard to find. I mean, we had to, like, the Google Maps, we were like, do we have to take a helicopter like to get down to this place? Like, it was so confusing. But we finally found it, and my mom is actually friends with one of the chefs that owns it. It's a family owned place. So she is a pastry chef, and her husband runs the restaurant side of things. And her brother runs the rest of it, and they're just this amazing duo. She just kept bringing food and food. We ordered, of course, but in between each thing, she would bring us the most amazing little creations. Like, everything they do there is just art on a plate.
Nice. So that's in Hawaii, and
Mhm.
you've been in some other places too,
Mhm.
right? Is there any place else that sticks out in your mind?
So obviously, when I was in Europe, I was a little bit younger, but also we didn't really look up places. We kind of just wandered in to places off the street. Um, so we didn't really take note of the restaurant names. It's kind of a family thing for me. We
I got
never, we try not to go to the same place
Yep.
twice. So, ask a local and say, what's good, and lead us there and try it. So I don't really remember any specifics, but like it's kind of like New York. You can't go into a place and have it be bad food because the competition is so great there, and they've got their own family recipes, and it's amazing.
Well, not only that, but just the experience alone
Hmm.
factors into whether or not it was a great meal for you.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, I
Um,
criticize all kinds of restaurants right here in Central Florida that have rave reviews because tourists go there and they're like, "Oh, this is amazing."
the best thing that they've
You're in a
yeah,
different mindset, you know.
right. I
But
mean, I guess if you're hungry, anything's gonna be good.
that too. I love that though that you guys that you ask the locals where to go.
Hmm.
That's we do the exact same thing.
It's key, honestly. Otherwise, you're gonna get the touristy places. You gotta go to those hole in the wall, they've been going for 50 years kind of places that is gonna be good.
So, is there any place that you have been that was recommended either locally or internationally that you looked at afterward and you said, I'm not quite sure why this has such a reputation?
Yeah, so it's funny because there's this place in New York. I actually spent 2 years there for school. I went to acting school in New York.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
yeah, and it was something. Um,
It was something.
it was something. So I didn't get to go to a lot of places because, as a student in New York City, you're eating 99-cent pizza. Um, but once in a while, my parents would come up and we'd go see shows, and they have a lot of places that are supposed to be designed to go before you go to see a show. So they have a special menu so that you're not going to be rushing through your meal,
Oh,
so that you
yeah.
get to a show on time.
Broadway kind of thing.
Right. So we went to this place. It's called Becco, and it's supposed to be this great Italian restaurant. Everyone raves about it. Um, and I feel bad because actually the food was pretty good. We didn't have any problems with the food, um, but it was so crowded. I literally were trying to get through the tables to get to our table, and I think I like brushed my butt against like four different people's heads, and like it was
Oh,
so awkward, and people's stuff was like falling off their chairs, and the waiters were tripping over purses, and
wow.
it was so bad. So it was the food was great, thank goodness, but it was the most stressful experience I've ever had. And it's too bad because it was supposed to be relaxing before go to the theater. And I think it would have been great if we had takeout.
Well, so if you had an extra $1,000 a month, what would you do with it in your personal budget?
Oh
Not
my goodness.
not your business.
Right. Well, I'm actually, I traveled so much when I was younger, but I haven't been able to travel since. Um, and I always went overseas. I always went to Europe. We were in Italy a lot. We went to all over France, and I never got to go to Spain, unfortunately. So that would be a cool place to go. But I would really, really love to just travel the US, because I've only been to a handful of states that I've either lived in or just kind of happened to visit for a little bit. Um, but there's so much more to offer that I haven't seen on our side of things. So I would really love to see um, so many different places. I really would love to go to Yellowstone. I would love to see anything that's not flat and boggy. Um,
Well, there is Claremont.
that's
It's a
something.
little more hilly.
Yeah.
But yeah, I get what you're saying. There comes a time where you just got to see some different terrain, especially if you've been so comfortable in Hawaii. That's
Yeah.
a very different terrain than Florida.
It is. It's amazing. And I was able to do a lot of hiking there too. And it's the views, there's nothing you've ever seen to match it. I mean, I'm sure there's other islands that look sort of like it, but once you're in that spirit of Hawaii and feeling that grounding that kind of takes over you, it's a completely different experience.
So Carla and I, obviously being travel agents, we've been a lot of places. I've been all through the Mediterranean. We've been to Australia. We're going to Singapore next year.
Oh, nice.
We've been a lot of places. However, we've never been to Hawaii.
Really?
So
okay, you have to go.
I want to go. I do.
It's amazing, honestly. I'm actually going
After
in.
talking to you, I want to go.
I think we're going in May, so hopefully you can go too.
Well, if we're going to Singapore and Australia in June, I don't think we'll make it to Hawaii next year.
It's definitely got to be on your list at some point.
Oh, it is. It definitely is. Right now, we're really focused on Alaska. We've got a lot of people that are interested in going to Alaska because, international travel has been a little bit more difficult, but Alaska,
we can get to that.
Stop in Canada, so that's been a little more challenging. But there's a lot of other ways to visit Alaska. There's rail. There's all kinds of cool things. So we're really focused on trying to make sure that people mark that off from their bucket list.
Right. I'll have to go again because I think I was about 6 months old.
Too?
I was like 6 months old, so it doesn't count.
Yeah, we'll count it.
Yeah, my parents took me everywhere. As soon as I was able to talk a little bit, they were like, all right, let's ship her over to see some new things.
Nice. So you are well versed in the cultures of the world.
Yes. Not so much in Asia, though, yet. I have not been over to Asia.
You'll have to make it over there.
Mm-hmm.
With that knowledge, with all of that international culture that has been imbued within you, when I say culinary, what comes to mind?
Honestly, I see it as an art. Everything from what I was taught from a young age was the arts. We didn't do a lot of sports. I was traveling through Europe. My parents would take me to museums. I was like 4 and 6 and 8 years old, and they would get me books and I would draw. And part of that and that culture and seeing shows was the food. So it's always about passing down that artistry. I guess I never really took culinary classes or anything. I learned from my grandma, who is from Italy. So I learned a lot of her recipes, and it's just that passing down of that artistry and that knowledge that's really important to me. So I think truly it's an art, and it has to be shared as a passion, as that art.
So that's not really anything we got into, but you like to cook too, huh?
I do. I love to cook. My meatballs are amazing.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Well, hey, you are still in Central Florida. We're still in Central Florida. I mean,
You gotta try some.
I like meatballs.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so I have one last question for you, and then I'm going to bring Carla on. And when Carla comes on, we're gonna keep you on screen, but we're gonna make it all about Carla for a few minutes and let her go over some quirky commentary, some fun foodie facts about Ohio, and then we're gonna bring you back on so we can find out what your thoughts are on that. Would you stick around for that?
Sure.
Fantastic. All right, so my last question before I bring Carla on. I say cocktail, you say?
Yum.
All right. Here's Carla with her quirky commentary.
Hey, foodie fans. Full disclosure, my allergies are bothering me, so I didn't put on any makeup. But I'm wearing my crown because I am a goddess and I am a queen.
It's a tiara.
Whatever. And I will later be using it to assault my husband. But everything is better with a tiara. So here are my fun foodie facts. A fun foodie fact about fun foodie facts is a lot of times when I'm trying to find these facts, I'm digging for things to talk about. Ohio is a foodie mecca. I didn't know this. I kept finding more and more stuff about amazing food in Ohio. So to start, the Melrose apple is an apple that was developed in Ohio. It's a cross between a Jonathan and a Red Delicious, and it's the official state apple. So does anybody know what a Buckeye is? It's a nut, right? It's also a candy. It's kind of like a gourmet peanut butter cup. I see them a lot around Christmas. They're so much better than peanut butter cups. They're made with peanut butter, sugar, and real butter, and then it's dipped in chocolate and leave a little peanut butter out uncovered from chocolate, so then it looks like the Buckeye nut. They're delicious. I'm probably going to mispronounce this. Goetta is a sausage-like patty that is synonymous with Cincinnati, and it is steeped in German heritage. The sausage is commonly eaten for breakfast, and it is made of pork, beef, onions, spices, and unprocessed oats. I would try it. And then there's the Polish boy. We're all familiar with the po' boy, which is very southern. Well, the Polish boy is a signature sandwich of Cleveland, Ohio, consisting of kielbasa. It's got kielbasa in it. How could that be bad? Coleslaw, fries, barbecue sauce, and it's all in like a hot dog bun. And basically this guy named Virgil Whitmore in the 1940s, he just grabbed what he had on hand and put it in a bun and served it as his restaurant. And that's how some of the greatest things are actually come up with. Put some stuff in some bread and eat it. And last but not least, Cincinnati chili is a popular dish that's made with ground beef stock, and unusual spices such as cinnamon, allspice, Worcestershire sauce, or however you say that, and chocolate or cocoa. Side note, Bryce always puts chocolate in his chili. It's served over pasta like spaghetti and topped with like shredded cheddar, fried beans, onions, and crushed oyster crackers. Bryce, go make me some Cincinnati chili. I have the munchies. I'm sorry. Those are my fun foodie facts.
So, Zoe, what do you think?
Yeah, there's a lot to offer in Ohio. You got some of like the fun, kind of messy stuff that they eat. It's very messy. We don't care. We have to stay warm there, right?
That makes sense. That Cincinnati chili, that's interesting to me. I didn't realize when I entered a chili competition many, many years ago when I was still in the Navy, and somehow, somewhere, I heard that chocolate worked really well in chili recipes. So I have been using chocolate in my chili ever since. I did not realize that that was almost like a signature of Ohio.
Yeah, I haven't had it too much. Something about being on pasta just it kind of goes against my religion. Maybe it's my Italian grandma in my head. But I feel like chocolate's one of those things like red wine. Anything you add to like red wine or chocolate, it makes it so much richer.
I think I would have to agree with that. Zoe, it has been a pleasure having you on this evening. Thank
Yeah,
you
thank
so
you so
much.
much.
We hope that I don't. Are you in our Facebook group yet?
I am.
Okay, fantastic. I want you to share all of your contact information in there so all our guests or all our followers and listeners can actually find you and be able to
Sure.
order some of those amazing teas.
Yeah. And my Tipsy Goddess oil spill. It's kind of
Absolutely.
a mouthful.
And we will be some of the first to try that, and we will make sure that we mix up a cocktail, and Carla will make sure that it's inside that group as well.
Sounds great.
Thanks again, Zoe. You have a great night.
Thanks, you too.
If you like what we're doing here, hit subscribe.